All right. So today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to define what grit and growth mindset means, and to understand how grit contributes to establishing a growth mindset, create real world connections to both of those, and also share and explain personal real world examples of both grit and growth mindset. So we're going to go through a lesson. I'm going to share my own grit story with you, and then I'm going to walk you through the digital assignment. So that you know what you need to do, and then I'll give you time at the end of class to get that done. Again, I do have tech. Before we move on, I do want to let you know that, remember, I did say I would be posting every lesson that I can. So if you go to yesterday's folder, when you open it, you will see the lesson from yesterday. I did record your class, so I always give credit where credit is due. So I do thank you for being good while I did that and not crazy. So I appreciate that. Any questions on that? Okay, again, I'm going to try to go through it real fast today, just so that you guys have enough time to get it done, because in all reality, I don't want you to have to do stuff at home. I do want to give you time here in class to get it done. That way, if you have questions and stuff, you can ask me. So before I start, let's talk about last year. It was a little daunting, right? A little crazy last year. Yes, no? Just a little bit. We had, of course, the pandemic. We didn't know how we were going to start the year, right? It was all kinds of stuff up in the air. At first, we had you guys doing all virtual, and then you guys were supposed to come back on a certain day. We moved that day up, and then we allowed you to flip-flop. So a lot of you flip-flopped. Schoology would crash, right, all the time. Some of your teachers did Zoom. Some of your teachers didn't do Zoom, right? Some of your teachers posted 1,001 assignments in Schoology. Some posted nothing at all. Even when they were on campus, some of your teachers taught you face-to-face, right? And then other teachers just played videos. So it was really different, right? And it wasn't just really different for you guys, it was very different for teachers. Record numbers of teachers are leaving the field because it was so crazy last year. So it was a little crazy, but we did survive, right? And so I'm very happy, I don't know about you, that I survived, because it wasn't easy. There was a lot of pivot moments. There was a lot of unknowns. I worried for you guys. I worried for myself. I worried for my family. So the fact that we not only survived COVID, but also, who remembers Snowmageddon? Did any of you enjoy Snowmageddon? Okay, you did. Okay, I didn't. So I lost power. And so me and my son and a coworker with her 2 children who are under the age of 3 were staying with me. So we picked up and went to my mom's down the street, and my mom had my stepdad, her, my brother and his girlfriend, my sister and her boyfriend, me, my son, and then my friend and her 2 kids, and then her husband. So there was over 11 of us in the house, and I was over it by the end of the week. So, and I hate snow from Corpus. It doesn't do well for me. So I'm very happy I survived. And I ask myself all the time, like, how did I get through that? How did I get through last year, right? And the year before that? And I truly believe it's due to grit and growth mindset. Now, how many of you actually know what a grit and a growth mindset is? Nobody, right? You've probably heard about grit, right? How many of you have heard of grit? Nobody? You? Okay. But growth mindset, I wouldn't expect you to know. So I'm going to teach you today. That's what I do. Okay, so my very good friend, Merriam-Webster Dictionary, which I use all the time. I quote from it all the time. The reason is because you guys are 10th graders, you're going to take the STAR test. On the STAR test, you're allowed to use a dictionary. So I try to show you how easy it is to use a dictionary and how helpful it can be. We'll do some dictionary practices so you get used to it.
Pardon the interruption, teacher. If you have any 9th graders who still don't have an ID card, last name Q through Z, if you will send them down to student activities. Again, this is just for 9th grade, last name Q through Z, who did not receive an ID card yesterday. Thank you.
Okay. So Merriam-Webster says that grit is the firmness of mind or spirit, unyielding courage in the face of hardship or danger. So in plain speak, it's just being mentally tough enough not to give up when things get hard. Now, how many of you in life have come across some hard things and thought, I can't get through this, or it's too much? Let's be honest. I mean, I have thousands of moments, right? But you got through them, right? You're sitting here in this class being bored to death by Ms. Garcia. So you've made it. That is having grit. feeling like you've hit rock bottom or you're about to give up and you keep going. The only time Miss Garcia does not demonstrate grit is when it comes to exercise, because I don't do that. But everything else, I'm a pretty strong person mentally. So it's being able to look past that. So then we have a growth mindset. So growth mindset is actually a term coined by Carol Dweck. She actually studies how people learn and how to achieve things with students and within people in general. And so she wrote an article in the Harvard Business Review, and she says that individuals who believe their talent can be developed through hard work, good strategies, and input from others have a growth mindset. So how many of you are in sports or ever played a sport? Okay, there's practice, right? You have to practice, and the more you practice, the better you get at something. How many of you would say that you're a better reader and writer now than you were in second grade? I would hope all of you, because if not, then I have some stuff I gotta work on, okay? So that is through a growth mindset. You take the feedback your teachers give you, you worked hard, and now you're a better writer and reader, right? Are you the best at it that you wanna be? Maybe not, but you can still get there. So you can say that a growth mindset is the belief that you can improve or grow our abilities and talents through hard work, using good strategies, and considering the advice of others. I very much believe in growth mindset, and I'm good at cultivating this. Does anybody know what cultivate means? So cultivate means to kind of grow it, help you achieve something, right? I kind of, it's not inspire you, but I help you gain that feeling. Now, how do I know that I can do this? Well, before I taught English 2, I was an ESOL teacher. ESOL is ESL, which meant most of my students came from out of country and spoke no English. Normally, when they would get to me at the beginning of the year, they would have a pre-K to second grade average reading level, but they were high schoolers. And it was my job to get them on level within a year. Normally, by the time they left my class, they were between an 8th grade to a 9th grade reading level. That's a pretty big jump in 1 year. So, and it was all because of them having grit and growth mindset and me inspiring that in them and helping them remember that. So that's my job. So what does it look like? A growth mindset looks like this. Believing that you can get smarter, realizing that learning is a goal, and that effort will make you stronger. So you spend more time and work harder and you get higher achievement. So when you put grit and growth mindset together, having a growth mindset incorporates having grit and putting grit into action. So your effort, in spite of difficulties, is grit, right? Because even when you feel like you want to give up, it's hard, you keep trying, that's actually having grit. And then spending more time and working harder, that's actually putting that grit into action. So belief in action. So basically what it looks like, or what you might know it as, is knowing you can do something and that you got it, even when it's hard, right? How many times have you guys done that in your life? Probably thousands, right? Big and small, yes. Oh, so big and small, you've done that. You've had hard times, you get through them. That is what I'm asking you to have in this class, okay? Because it's gonna get crazy. I cannot promise that we will always be right here in this class together, right? We might get sent home. Some of you guys might go virtual. Who knows what's gonna happen? But if I can get through you guys to continue to have grit and growth mindset, you guys will not only get through my class, but get through this crazy year and graduate, right? So that's my goal. So my belief is that with grit and growth mindset, you can have success, not just in my English class, but just in life, right? Like in life, that's a pretty good mindset to have. And I'm gonna show you how that's true. So I'm real big on real world examples and making connections to real world examples. I'm also real big on sharing things from my own life because for some reason, students tend to think that teachers are like this, have perfect lives and they were perfect students when they were growing up and everything just fell into place. And that is not necessarily the case for Miss Garcia. I will be honest with you. I was a huge nerd. I would make hundreds on my tests and things, but I was also, I got sent to alternative. I was always in trouble. My behavior was horrible. My principals did not like me. My teachers loved me, most of them, not Miss O'Leary. Anyways, but I was always in trouble. My dad said he never knew what to do with me because I would bring home hundreds on my report cards and my conduct was horrible. I'd get kicked out of class. I'd get in trouble. And the school I went to, Moody High School, is in Corpus Christi. Do you guys know where that's at? It's on the water. Yeah, and so Corpus Christi is predominantly Mexican. My high school was predominantly Mexican. We had about 20 black kids and maybe a couple white kids that hung out with the black kids. But we were gang ridden. Like we had tons of gangs. My high school got fed into through La Armada, which was the projects, a halfway house. Do you guys know what halfway houses are? They would get out of like juvie and they'd have to live in those houses. Yeah. No, like jail.
Oh,
Yeah, juvie jail. So they would live there because they weren't allowed to live at home. They had to live there, and they would come to my school. And then we had some of the poorest districts in neighborhoods in Corpus went to my high school. So you know how you have like the two little police officers that walk around? And my school is the size as if you cut Ellison in half and took off the second half. We had maybe 3 to 4 times more police than you guys have. Because there was just a lot of gang fights. There was a lot of shootings like around the neighborhoods. We had a lot of people that we knew that would die or go to jail. Girls, unfortunately, would drop out of school really fast because we had the highest pregnancy rate in my high school, even surpassed the teenage mother school, which I still don't know how we did that. So it was just not the most conducive place to succeed, right? They pretty much thought you're gonna either drop out of school and get a job at the refineries, right, for the guys, or girls were gonna make babies and have a marriage or something, right? That was kind of what they were aiming at. But I always wanted to go to college. Even though I used to get into trouble, I wanted to go to college and I wanted to get my degree. But it was not easy. And that's kind of where this rich story starts. So in 1997, I was able to graduate from Foy Twitty High School. I was in the top 15% of my class. When I graduated, I had already gone to alternative, and I had actually had a counselor tell me no college would ever accept me. She was like, you went to alternative, there's not a college on the planet, she said, that would ever accept me. And she didn't want to be my counselor. So they sent me back to the at-risk counselor, and he said, prove her wrong. So I applied to UCLA, USC, Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, Texas A&M, UT, and St. Mary's for their mechanical engineering programs. There were 7 of the top programs in the United States at the time for engineering. I got accepted to all of them. So I went and I laid them on her desk, and I said, tell me again, nobody's gonna accept me. So I was all excited because here I thought I was gonna go to Notre Dame because that's where I really wanted to go, or I was gonna go to USC. And both my parents, who had very young children at the time, came to me and said, we have no money. We have no money to send you to school. Figure it out. So instead of just saying, okay, I'm not gonna go, I said, no, I'll go to UT because my Aunt B lives in Austin and I can stay with her. So I go to UT and it was expensive. I worked 3 jobs and still couldn't afford it. I was struggling, I was tired, and there was just not enough money. One of my books was over $500. It was crazy. And I was like, ugh. So I even one time fell asleep outside of a class, and I was so tired that my class actually started, left, and another class came back, and I didn't wake up in time. Like I walked in on a different class. So that's how tired I used to be. But I didn't want to just give up. So I kind of poked around to try to figure out what I could do. I was obviously not gonna be able to find any money. But I did find out that if you left UT on your own accord, which means you leave of your own choice, you can always come back by paying $50 and filling out an application. They would take you back. So I thought, bet. So I switched from engineering to English because I realized I didn't like engineering. And apparently I don't like money because, teaching doesn't pay a lot. But I switched and then I withdrew myself because I just couldn't afford it. So I packed up everything within a couple of days. I made this whole decision. I made all the choices, withdrew myself from UT, packed up my truck, and I drove to Georgia where my mom lived. And I said, I'm gonna figure it out and I'll be back. I left in 1998. How many years do you think it took me to get back to UT? Just a random guess. 10? Okay, anybody else? 3, 5, okay, let's find out. And just so you know, my grandmother used to call me terca, which means stubborn in Spanish. I have a hard head and I always choose the hard path. So we're gonna find out how hard my path got. So actually, it's longer than 7. So over the span of 7 years, a lot happens. I moved to Georgia. I get a job. I help my mom take care of my younger siblings, and I start trying to save money and pay off the debt that I already had, which was, I was pretty unsuccessful. Then we move back to Texas, and Miss Garcia has a little bit too much fun, and we get Eli, right? And I become a single mom to an amazing kid, but it was really hard. But while I'm doing that, I'm going to community college and I'm getting really good grades. So one thing that's always been easy for Miss Garcia is education. I can pass a class like there's no other. I can pass it with my eyes closed. I just never can pay for it. So I was going to the community college where I could pay for things and I was getting A's. And then my mom says, hey, we're living in Louisiana. Why don't you come here, save money, and then you can go back to UT. And she's like, we're gonna be here for 3 years. It'll be easy. Again, bet. Travel to Louisiana. 3 months later, my mom says, oh, your dad got restationed in Fort Hood. We're taking off. So I was living in Louisiana by myself. And I guess the fates did not like that I was in Louisiana because then I got hit by Katrina and Rita. Even though I'm from Corpus Christi, Texas, I had never experienced a hurricane my whole life. And that's because I could drive within 5 minutes to the beach. Never experienced a hurricane, moved to Louisiana where I couldn't even see the water, and I got hit by 2 hurricanes. So obviously the fates were like, you're staying too long. So I'm out of money. My job's devastated because of the hurricanes. I'm a single mom. I don't have my full education, so I couldn't apply for better jobs, right? Because I didn't have my degree. So I was still taking these minimum wage jobs and I'm struggling. And then I get a call from UT and they said, hey, are you ever coming back? And I said, I'd love to. I want nothing more than to get my degree. I could taste it. I wanted it so bad. And they said, well, then come back. I said, oh, I'm a poor Mexican. I can't afford to go back to UT. And they said, well, if you can figure out how to get here, we'll help you. You're a single mom, we'll figure it out. And I was like, okay. So Ms. Garcia makes very quick and rash decisions. So within a week, I was back in Coppers Cove, Texas, and I was at UT. So what I would do is I lived in Coppers Cove. I would drive from Coppers Cove to UT, from UT to Temple where I worked for a school, and then drive back to Cove every day for 5 days a week. And then I worked on the weekends and I raised my son. Well, UT kind of helped me raise my son. He'll tell you. And I did that until I went back to UT when my son was 6 years old. I did not graduate from UT until 2014. That's how long it took me. And that whole time I worked over 40 hours. I commuted every single day and I raised my son. And I actually have another son because I keep having too much fun. But I was a single mom and I did both of it. But I finally got it. And the day that I got it, I'll tell you that was like one of the best days. And one of the things I can actually tell you is that I did it, even though I had help from my family, that degree is mine. That degree that sits there on my wall, I paid for that. I worked hard for that. Those were my grades, my sweat and tears, my grit, and my growth mindset that got me there. And some of you guys might be saying, well, Miss, you got a degree, you did all that, and now you're sitting here teaching high school. Well, about 5 years ago, I would have told you I would never be a high school teacher in my life. I wanted to be a professor. But then somebody said, well, you're going to have to pay for that education. You might as well work for school. Schools will help you get your degrees. I said, okay. And now I love my job. I actually wake up every day and for the most part, I'm happy that I do this and I love doing my job. But I'm still pursuing my dreams of getting those degrees. And at the end of this month, I start my first class at Harvard. So I am fulfilling my own dreams. Has it been easy? Absolutely not. But my motto is, how can I tell my children, how can I tell my students to reach for their dreams and reach big and not let anything get in their way if I let things get in my way? So I show grit and growth mindset all the time. I'm just asking you, at least when you're within these 4 walls of my classroom, if you can please show some grit and growth mindset. Now, is it always going to be easy? No. There's going to be times where you get down. Absolutely. But I am here to support you for that. Okay, so that is a real life grit story of Miss Garcia. And it's also proven to me that there is pretty much nothing in this world that can keep me down unless it's exercise. And then that is the one thing that we will not achieve. So here's your assignment. It's due on Friday, October 20th by 11:59 p.m. I want to get to know you. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna click this link down here. It says digital locker, and it's gonna open it into a OneDrive. Yours is gonna be empty. I want you to give me a picture of you or a Bitmoji. And then I want you to fill your locker with things that tell me about you. And there's some examples here. You need to have at least 6 items, but one of those items needs to be something tied to a grit story for you. So mine is the UT one. I have some of my favorite books up here. They're Chinese books. Here's some of my favorite shows and movies. I have, my dream was Harvard. When I made this last year, I was working to try to get into Harvard, and so far I've done it. So I'm gonna take my first class. Here's my 2 boys, my güerito, Tristan, and my son, Eli. And then I have a sailboat because both of them are competitive. Well, Eli was a competitive sailor, but my other son also learned how to sail. And that actually in itself is a great story because my son, Eli, was like one of 4 Hispanics in all of Texas that sailed. And he used to be in like the top 10 sailing. So it's really hard to be the only person that looks like you in your sport. And he still did it, and he did a really great job. He's in the Navy now. I have my Hydro Flask because my Hydro Flask is more popular than Miss Garcia, more well-known. I have the globe because I would like to travel to China one day, but I actually want to travel the world and be scandalous, just so you know. And then come back, retire off the book I write about all my scandalous adventures. And then I have the stuff for Ellison because I'm their bank coach and the academic UIL, and because I honestly love Ellison. I have been offered many jobs elsewhere, and I stay here because I love my students, I love my kids, and I will love you as well, hopefully one day. So that's my locker. Once you have that, you're gonna fill it up. There's a second page, and I have it kind of mapped out for you. It'll say, insert the image here. So here's UT, and so you'll see where to put the picture. I already gave you your title. I know I can do this because I've done it before. And you're just gonna give me a 3 to 5 sentence blurb explaining your grit story to me. Tell me when you have had grit and used a growth mindset to get past what was keeping you down. And I'm the only one that sees it unless you tell me otherwise. So, you know, you can share whatever. And you can even steal some of my words. So I said, even though I did not have enough money when I graduated high school, I worked hard to get my education. I used my grit to work and study and believed that I could get my degree in order to achieve my goal. I was able to be successful because I believed in myself even when times were tough, and now I have my bachelor's degree in English. So basically, this is what you guys are gonna do. You have from now until the end of class, and then again, any free time I have tomorrow, and after that, you guys can still work on it. If you don't have tech, I have tech here. I have laptops and iPads. The only thing I ask, and the only one that's messed up so far has been first period, is that when you're done with it at the end of class, you put it back and you plug it in. That way that they stay charged. I know some of you guys have been having some issues with your signing in. So basically you need to make sure that the laptops and the iPads are hooked up to the Wi-Fi that ends in 1712, not the BYOD, because they actually live here. This is their home. They get to go on the regular internet. Your login information is your student number. And then if you don't remember your your password, put welcome to KISD, and that should prompt you to reset your password. And if you have any problems, just let me know. Are there any questions? Yes. Yes. So you'll be able to use my computers, my iPads. As long as you turn this in by 11:59 p.m. on August 20th, this week you'll already have had 200s because you guys gave me the index card, and then you'll have this. Yes. If you're new to the school, you're going to use that same information right there, and it'll prompt you for it. Okay. Any questions other than that? All right, cool.